I've got Liberal Party Senator for New South Wales, Hollie Hughes, with me right now. Hollie Hughes, welcome to TNT Radio.
Hey, Smithy, how you going?
I'm doing very well. Now, I saw a speech from the Senate overnight. I think it was Matt Canavan giving a speech, and I'm nearly sure I saw you in the Speaker's chair orchestrating the unrepresentative swill. Was that you?
I was sitting in the Speaker's chair, in the President's chair. I've done it again today. So there's a group of us that do what we call chair's duties. So the President and the Deputy President don't sit in there all day. So we take it in turns to look over the Senate and make sure it's behaving the way that it should.
How difficult is that? You're on one side of the political spectrum. How difficult is it to be fair to the other side? Seriously.
Look, the Senate generally, is pretty collegiate in the way that we all work together on a number of committees.
You could have fooled me.
Well, yeah, question time, maybe not so collegiate. And I got to say, this government at the moment is just such a mess. It's very, very difficult to be sitting in the chamber with them. I mean, the arrogance that they have while literally everything is falling apart around them is quite breathtaking. But we have standing orders when you're in the chair and you abide by them. So I pull up my side, I pull up the other side, and you do what needs to be done.
Well, they're in deep trouble on a number of issues, but this one in particular, a violent sex offender released from immigration detention following last month's High Court ruling has faced court on 2 charges of indecent assault. Afghan refugee Ali Yawari, who attacked 3 elderly women in 2013 and 14, indecently assaulting one of his victims in her home and hitting her with a walking stick, was deemed a danger to the Australian community by a sentencing judge. He was one of 2 detainees charged over the weekend as the government scrambles to pass tough laws to place the most threatening offenders back behind bars. But it was always going to be too late, Hollie. This was always going to happen. What a mess.
Oh, look, absolutely. When you put 148 of the worst offenders back on the street, it was always a matter of time. And we've actually seen a 3rd person charged today who's part of this cohort. So this is just absolutely extraordinary incompetence being displayed by this government. We are actually debating in the Senate at the moment a migration bill that we don't actually even fully have yet because the government had a go at question time saying, well, we want to pass this bill, but we don't even have it. So we just put a motion up to bring on the debate straight away.
Hollie, they should have had that bill completed in full while the High Court was still presiding over this.
Absolutely. And, the questions that are being asked, they released the majority of these people, all but one was directed, the High Court directed one detainee had to be released. The other 147 or so that they have released, the government's done so prior to getting the High Court reasons. So there is very good grounds that these people did not need to be released, that the High Court's reasoning did not apply to them. And so the fact that they have done this and sort of basically jumped the shark, have gone out and released all these people. We heard that the man that was charged with sexual assault on the weekend was not wearing an electronic bracelet. So have we been given the full information when they've said these people were being monitored? Because it appears not. This is an absolute mess of the government's making, and they are absolutely scrambling. It is beyond disgrace that the House of Representatives are not here. So it is only the Senate in the building. And, we had Claire O'Neill last week saying no one was going home until this preventative measures bill was passed. They haven't even got the bill still, and it's Tuesday, and the reps don't come back. So they're coming back tomorrow, but tomorrow is a condolence motion for Peter Murphy, who died this week, who's a sitting member. But as is what happens when you do a condolence motion for a sitting member who has died in office, the House will adjourn as soon as that condolence motion ends. So there will be no debate tomorrow. There will be no presentation of the bill in the representatives tomorrow. The reps at this stage look like they're planning only to be here for Thursday. This is absolutely unforgivable. I don't even know where the Prime Minister is. Does anyone know where he is?
Oh, amateur hour, isn't it?
He is beyond incompetent. I haven't seen Claire O'Neill pop her head up for a few days.
There are two ministers involved in this who should go today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it would appear that both her and Giles are in witness protection, because I don't think anyone's, cited them for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And this is a mess, as I said, of their making. Yet they are continuing to put Australians and the Australian community at risk because of their failed actions or their inaction.
Yeah, and no doubt Albanese is in one of those get smart cone of silence places somewhere in Australia to keep away from the media. Glenn the truckie has phoned in for a question to you, Hollie Hughes. Go ahead, Glenn. She's listening.
Hey, Hollie, I'm just wondering, as an Australian living in a so-called democratic country, and considering the Labor government is driving us into bankruptcy, destroying our sovereignty, flooding us with immigration. I work 17 hours a day, and my wife's reduced to living in a bedroom because it's all we can afford to cool, because I can't make enough money working 17 hours a day every day of the week. Can you tell me, in this democratic country, is it possible, and what do we, the public, have to do to get this government sacked and removed?
Well, Glenn, it's a great question. I'm sure lots of Australians are asking it. We are a democracy, and the election is when you'll be able to say goodbye to this government. But it is so important that you and others, and I mean, what you're going through is just awful, and it's what so many Australians are going through. And we've got Minister Bowen over at COP28 at the moment, absolutely making an embarrassment of Australia with his push on renewables, which is just going to keep costing more and more and more to call your home. And I mean, it is absolutely appalling in such a resource-rich nation as Australia, who should have some of the lowest priced energy in the world, that this is what we've been reduced to. The election, unfortunately, is not due till May 2025, but with any luck, they'll go to an election a bit earlier and we can boot this mob out.
About a year, an 18-month period to wait, Glenn.
Here's the problem, though, Chris. I'm not stupid. We can't afford to wait that long. Because if we wait another 18 months, this country will be destroyed. Let's look at it realistically. Not only have you got that absolute moron Bowen destroying the electricity system, you got Penny Wong destroying our agriculture. I come from farming stock. And I understand not only is it going to push up the cost of food because they can't grow it because they don't have the water, it's also going to destroy all of those country towns that rely on agriculture. And for the politicians to tell me that I've got to wait another 18 months, I'm sorry, we can't afford to wait 18 months in a democratic country. Why can't we have them removed now?
Yeah, it's a very good question. I'm hearing your frustration, and right now they're on the seat of their pants, not coming out from under their desks, which shows how not only inept they are, but of course scared they are of facing the music. I've got Senator Hollie Hughes with me, Liberal Party Senator from New South Wales. Hollie, the Australian reports today that senior Labor and union figures are pushing the PM to lift the ban on nuclear power, as urban polling shows that city folk want cheaper and reliable energy before the priority being put on renewables. Is the penny beginning to drop for what is an ignorant Labor government?
No, not at all. We debated this yesterday. They were all up. Nuclear is terrible. Nuclear is too expensive. We don't want nuclear. No. Renewable. They are absolutely and utterly deluded.
And foolish, according to Emmanuel Macron.
Oh, look, and amongst others, amongst many, many other countries who have come to the table and realised that they are going to have to triple their nuclear output if they are to become anywhere close to their net zero ambitions. Now, whether you're a net zero person or not, everyone agrees that we want less emissions, that a cleaner, greener, better environment is better for everybody. No one is in dispute of that. But this race to renewables that Chris Bowen has embarked on is just fanciful.
Yeah.
He's relying on battery storage when he puts all his renewables in. We've just had a car company yesterday recall over 1,500 EVs because their charging stations are a threat to life.
Mm-hmm.
We had an accident yesterday. 3 men ended up in hospital, one with serious burns in Royal North Shore after an electric bike battery blew up in an apartment. These things are happening more and more often, and it's because the materials in these batteries are incredibly dangerous.
Yeah.
Yet they are obsessed on this anti-nuclear warpath. Now, what we're actually proposing is basically 4 words in the EPBC Act, our Environment and Biodiversity Act, which there's 4 words in it. And I think, I have to remember, I think it's Section 140, Part A, Part 1.
We'll believe you.
4 words. Yeah, just trust me on that one. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But there's 4 words there that say a nuclear power plant. Now, if we got rid of those 4 words from that act, it would then open up nuclear for the market to decide.
Yeah.
So no one on the coalition side is saying, let's go build a large power nuclear reactor here. Let's put a small modular reactor here. We are adopting a technologically agnostic approach to energy. All of the above, everything should be on the table.
Yep.
But at the moment, with this moratorium in place, the market in Australia cannot even entertain nuclear.
Yeah.
And this is what has to change.
It's immature, it's ignorant, it's arrogant.
Look, if the Labor government was so confident in their argument that it's too expensive, too long a time, lead time to get it up and running, that there's all these issues around it, that there isn't going to be community buy-in, there won't be social license for it, then let the market figure that out, because, you want it to be run by, corporations, you want it to be run by commercial enterprises. It's not going to be state-owned. And commercial enterprises are not going to invest in something that is, ill-advised, money-losing, going to be unsuccessful. And so if you get someone coming into the market, whether it is some of the small modular or the medium plants or the, even the larger plants that are now being reopened across Japan and in Europe, you're going to see the market be able to decide. And I think where they're also missing the point, because they say, there's no social license for this stuff. You could put a nuclear power plant exactly where a coal mine that's a coal-fired power station ceased to work anymore.
Yep.
You could put it there. These are communities who have had jobs and their livelihoods based on energy for a really long time and worked in coal-fired power. They, I am sure, and know of some of them, would absolutely happily entertain and probably welcome this sort of development to keep their own community alive, to keep jobs happening in their local area.
It's easier to be retrained within the energy sector than try and change sectors, and they can adapt.
Well, but the other thing with nuclear that's very, very different from this renewable energy transmission saga that is just ongoing and will cost us trillions of dollars and will be, I think, ultimately a white elephant. Yeah. But with nuclear, you can actually sort of, for lack of a better analogy, kind of just plug it in. So where the coal-fired power station connected to transmission, that's basically how nuclear operates.
Ready to go.
Plugged in. You do not need to rebuild transmission lines. You do not need to consume any more arable farmland, Indigenous cultural heritage sites, koala habitats. All of these things that are going on at the moment for renewable transmission lines do not need to happen with nuclear.
Yep.
Some of the unions are getting there. I noticed Jim Chalmers' union is endorsing it. He is still absolutely not out on the front foot on it. I think it'll be a real test, though, if over the summer or as things progress, whether someone does break ranks. And I think you're going to see it maybe from the Labor right, and maybe someone will break ranks. It may be an accidental slip-up of a comment that starts to welcome it. I don't know, maybe I've been in this game too long and I'm too cynical. But as Albanese, if he does not arrest the current slide that he is on, you just might start seeing a couple of them starting to differentiate themselves to put themselves out there, because I don't think it's sustainable. But ideologically, they are completely hell-bent and are not for turning at this stage.
Yeah, and it's a huge plus for the coalition if you can get out, sell it, explain it, and speak in, the latest terms in terms of the technology. One quick one before we let you go. King Charles is planning his first trip to Australia as monarch late next year. Queen Camilla is expected to accompany him for what would be the royal couple's first visit since 2018. The most recent Resolve Political Monitor survey of support for becoming a republic, conducted in the weeks after Queen Elizabeth's death, found 54% of Australians said no and 46% said yes to becoming a republic. I think we're sort of off the idea of a referendum more than a republic. But anyway, how do you think they'll be greeted?
So look, I am an avowed monarchist, and I am very excited that I am a member of Parliament and are likely to be able to sit in the chamber when the King addresses the Parliament. So I'm very excited that they've just announced that they're coming, and I think it'll be an amazing trip and tour. I think probably the only thing that would eclipse it is maybe Wills and Kate. But certainly I don't think Australians are looking for a change. I know, we just had Glenn on the phone. How do we change the government? Well, it is at elections, and that's what we need to do. But I think overall, our system of government works very well for us. And I think it's fantastic that they're coming out. And I think most Australians will embrace them incredibly warmly. And as long as we get the pirate with his bloody bandana to stay at home and shut up, we'll be fine.
Well said. Boom, boom. I'll let you get back to real business. Thank you so much for your time.